They claim that we don't believe in immigration, but there's a difference between immigration, legal immigration, and an orchestrated invasion. We have jihadists, we have communists, we have people who were raised to hate and kill Americans being given every benefit and cell phones and cash and health care and hotel rooms and maid service every day to jihadists from Nigeria. Yeah. So when Keri Lake speaks, the quality of life basics that make America's the only real freedom zone in the history of the human species, I believe that Arizona will come to the forefront, and I believe that she represents that heart and soul, the pulse of being the best that you can be based on God, family, country. And I hope that she has woke up a lot of hunters and fishermen and licensed sportsmen out there that have not been in the asset column. Because if you don't vote, you're not neutral. You're not only not in the asset column, but if you don't vote, you're actually in the liability column of America. So ultimately, Keri Lake represents those foundational values that we all believe in, we all know that make the greatest quality of life. So I hope everybody gets out there and gets everybody in their life to join us at hunternation.org. And even though I'm not in Arizona and I can't vote for any specific candidate, I think Keri Lake represented what should be implemented in the state of Arizona to make America great, strong, profitable, respected, and safe again, and healthy again.
Let me ask you this, Ted. I've never spoke to Keri Lake before we went live today. Had you?
No, I've never spoke with the lady before, no.
So on behalf of Hunter Nation, you and we're trying to inform hunters in all these, they call them swing states. You and I call them hunting states because there's a lot of hunters in the swing states that ultimately could decide the direction of our country. And so you and I wanted to meet with Keri Lake and find out where she stood on hunting issues. We reached out to the Keri Lake campaign. You didn't know her. I didn't know her. We reached out to Ruben Gallego's campaign. Didn't know him. To me, Ted, it speaks volumes that she, without knowing you or I, agreed to come on and tackle these tough issues for us. And he didn't come on. What does that say to you when he's a sitting U.S. senator, and he basically gave you and I and the hunters of Arizona the middle finger because he doesn't feel like he has to answer any questions. Apparently, hunters must not matter to him. What's your take on his refusal to join us?
We see it widespread where there's a gang of thieves that have all the power in the country, big tech, the media, academia, Hollywood, and the government. And they think they can continue to brainwash and bamboozle people by only basically lying about the candidates. If you look what they do for Kamala Harris, what they did for Joe Biden, said he was as strong as he's ever been. He's so tuned in. He's one of the smartest men we've ever had, probably the most tuned in, aware president. Some of the claims by the media. So they literally are lying and they're covering for them. And those that don't show up, they know that if they start talking, that we'll see what they're really made of instead of the fake impression like Tim Walz. He's not a hunter. He's not a gun guy. He didn't even know which side of the gun to hang on to. Yeah. Somebody gave him an orange vest and a gun and said, we can get some of these conservationists to vote for you if you come off as a hunter. We've seen Keri, John Kerry did the same thing. Borrowed a vest and a gun, and I'm afraid what's our buddy from Utah? He did the same thing. So
Mitt Romney.
Yeah, Mitt Romney. So we have seen the pandering, the dishonesty, the scamming, the lies, and somebody who's afraid to come on and make their honest statement. We know that they don't side with the best Americans. They are against the best Americans, and they're on the side of the power abusers, the anti-constitutional ones, and the ones that are creating this gender division by claiming that you can change your gender and God made a mistake, and you can have drag queen story hours where fat perverted men twerk their ass to little boys and girls singing "It Won't Lick Itself." Let me make it perfectly clear. It's not harmless. The fat perverted men in drag queens sing to little boys and girls, it won't lick itself. That is so vile. That is so obscene. That represents that rainbow flag thing. That represents the destruction of the family, because the most quality of life available is when you have a family unit that shares love and guidance and nurturement and discipline and education, and you become a positive force in the asset column. And if you destroy family, then you can have the government cater to the most subservient amongst us. And that's what's going on. And Keri Lake addressed that perfectly, I think.
Well, in summary here, and I'm going to give you the last word as I always do on every show. I personally appreciated the fact that she talked about the importance of closing the border. I appreciated the fact that she talked about, trying to stop this engineered invasion, the engineered recidivism that you talked about, her ideas on the economy. I think she agrees with you and I on the transgender issues. And I really love the opportunity that we're doing here with Hunter Nation, just to let our fellow hunters know where these candidates stand. But now I'd like you to answer this one last thing for me. We know in Arizona, 50% or less of the hunters in Arizona vote. And we know the margin in Arizona, whether we're looking at the president, this Keri Lake race, or the dog catcher in Maricopa County, it's going to be a razor thin margin. And I just would like you, Ted, in the last couple minutes that we have, to look directly into the camera and talk to those folks from Arizona that are listening, really every other hunter and patriot across the country, and tell them the ramifications of setting this one out. And I'll let you close it. And God bless you, Ted. Love everything you're doing. Thanks for all your hard work.
You bet. Well, thank you, Keith, for creating Hunter Nation, because it's the circling of the conservative wagons in America right now. And I will speak directly to those hunters and those sporting families in Arizona that aren't registered to vote, but also the other 49 states. You and I have been working nonstop since the 2016 election to wake up the sleeping conservative voting army. So I'm speaking to everybody out there who complains about the restrictions. They're not just regulations and laws against the Second Amendment. Those are infringements. When you have to get paperwork from somebody for a silencer, that's an infringement, and it says shall not be infringed. When you have to get a carry permit, that's not a license, that's an infringement. It says shall not be infringed. So I'm speaking to the army of God, family, country, law and order licensed hunters out there, and the fishermen. We're talking about the sporting community. You could make America great again. Just you guys. And friends of yours, it's the hunting season right now. I've been hunting all day today, and I got a whole camp this weekend. And I don't let the guys leave until they shake my hand and promise me that they're going to register and vote their core values. So everybody out there, if you don't vote those core values, that's your handle on the toilet flusher of America, because we, the sporting families of America, could win everything in all 50 states, because the margins, as Keith mentioned, in Arizona, and it's applicable in every state, the margins by which we lose in any and all elections is so thin that just the licensed hunters voting those values would win every time, and we would have a constitutional republic with secure borders, no more repeat offender violent crimes. We would not allow such sexualization of our children in schools. We could fix America this November. It's less than a month away. So please, everybody paying attention tonight, make that phone call tomorrow at work, the school, church, the barbecue, the bowling alley, the shooting range, the deer camp, at the fishing dock. Chastise your fellow sporting buddies. They got to register to vote the core values that the outdoor lifestyle epitomizes. So thank you, Keith, Mark. Thank you, Hunter Nation. If you go to hunternation.org, I see Jim Ioziza. He's here. I got all these guys that are on my different platforms and come and share the weekend campfires with us. Thank you for your support. But now get out there and recruit everybody you know to register to vote. We're not even going to tell you who to vote for, because when I say God, family, country, law, and order, you know who I'm not talking about. So thank you, Keith, for creating Hunter Nation, hunternation.org, and huntthevote.org. This is the clearinghouse. This is the circling of the conservative wagons that is inspiring many, many heretofore non-participants to do their American responsibility, and that is vote. God, family, country, Constitution, law, and order.